The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily represent those of this station or its management.
It's time now for Where You Live with Gene Sullivan, the show that deals with the news and events that affect you the most. Whether you rent or own, live in an HOA, single-family home, or an apartment building, Gene will tackle the issues right where you live. So, from the True North Painting Studios, here is the original man of steel, Resolve himself, who stands for truth, justice, and the association way. Here's Gene Sullivan.
Welcome, everyone, to Where You Live. I'm Gene Sullivan, and I'm broadcasting from the True North Painting Studios. When you're looking for the right painting contractor, what do you look for? Isn't it someone who will respect you, your time, your property, and your budget? That's what you can expect from True North Painting. Find out more about this exceptional company by going online at truenorthpainting.com. That's trunorthpainting.com, or give them a call at 952-831-1433. I'm also brought to you by the great folks at Extreme Exteriors and American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. I need to begin, as always, by giving a big hello to Christopher Wider Puberty behind the board. How are you, Chris?
I'm good, Gene. How about yourself?
I am doing great, as usual.
Excellent.
And you said last Sunday was Easter.
Mm-hmm.
A great day, wasn't it?
Oh, it's like 70-something.
It was like the summer.
Oh,
had
beautiful.
Come
a little
upon
bit of a
us.
breeze. Perfect basketball weather.
So that's what you did then.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so no big doings with the family?
Not this year, no.
Okay, so kind of a laid-back time?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep, basketball is my release. I'm from Indiana, so it's in my blood.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're a Hoosier.
Exactly.
And I suppose the hedgehog joined you in a game of horse or pig?
It actually joined me in the game of hog.
And a hog, okay. Yeah. All right, very good. Well, we've got a great show lined up for you today with a lot to cover, so let's begin with property management in the news. Property management in the news is brought to you by Home Furniture and Abbey Floor Coverings. Their showrooms are staffed with professionals who will help you choose what you need to fit both your lifestyle and budget. Whatever you need, chances are they'll have what you're looking for. If you wish to avail yourself of special pricing you won't find anywhere else, all Where You Live listeners can call Customer Service Coordinator Lori Matson at 952-224-2663. We have a story coming out of the state of Florida, and we've got a clip from Channel 5 News. That's WPTV in West Palm Beach, Florida, an NBC affiliate.
Owners in Boynton Beach are one step away from being forced to sell their homes. State legislators blame a flawed law that allows a majority owner to buy others out. News Channel 5's Marissa Bagg explains why the individual homeowners may be left with no choice but to move.
The days these neighbors can sit at their condo pool in Boynton Beach could be numbered. Each one may have to sell their homes, even if they don't want to.
It just doesn't seem fair. This is, our homes, we pay our mortgages, we pay our taxes, we pay our homeowners, and now we're being told that we have to leave.
A glimmer of hope that House Bill 1061 would help was crushed. It didn't make it to the next legislative session that begins Monday.
It did not get to the subcommittee while we were still holding subcommittee hearings, and so the bill is very most likely what we term dead.
Condo owners could be forced to sell their units at fair market value if a company owns 90% of the units on the property. The problem for these residents, fair market value is a far cry from what they paid for their homes.
And a lot of us are underwater, which means that we owe more than they're willing to give us.
We have people who have put in money and now they're being offered a percentage of what they put in. So it's really troubling.
A petition on change.org shows similar fights are popping up in Tampa and Panama City. Northland Investment Corporation is the majority owner of Via Lugano. Calls to their office were not returned today. There's no word on when Northland may try to buy out the remaining 30 or so owners. If Northland owns all of the units on this property, they can turn it into a rental community. In Boynton Beach, I'm Marissa Bag, WPTV News Channel 5.
A very unfortunate thing to happen to folks. We've seen it happen here in the state of Minnesota as well over the last few years. This is sort of some of the still residuals that we feel from the real estate bubble popping from back in 2005, 2006. That's when we're talking about this particular condo association, the Via Lugano, was established. And apparently, initially, about 10% of the units available, about 30 or so out of about 300 units, were purchased initially by people. Things look good, but then, of course, the real estate industry dropped. And after that, it's been very hard to try and find someone willing to purchase those units. And so now here we are, how many years later from 2006, we're talking about, 7, 8 years later. And it is still very troubling for this homeowners association. And so they are beginning to take a look at doing what is the right of any homeowner association, and that is the right to dissolve as a corporation and say, you know what, it's not working, we're going to move on. Now, usually in that case, you're dealing with a situation where if you had all of the units owned by individuals and you had 90% of the homeowners all saying we wish to dissolve, that would be one thing. But because it all has been held by a corporation, it's looked at a little bit differently. And I'd like to ask a couple of questions to you, listeners, today as we take a look at this story and attempt to take it apart. And that is, do we even know what the difference between unfair and unfortunate is? It seems to me that a lot of what this story was, how it was stated, could have been stated much differently depending upon your perspective. We have here, it was stated by the news reporter that Florida House Bill 10661 was a dead bill that could have helped homeowners stay in their homes. Or could it have been said that Florida House Bill 1061 almost went through and would have taken away the rights from the majority of those in a homeowners association? It depends upon your perspective. And I'd like to, as we begin to take a look at this story, I want to ask a couple other questions here. And that is it reasonable for us to expect that every person can have their way in the world 100% of the time? What do you think? Is it reasonable to think that you can expect that everything will go your way, the way you've had it planned in your mind 100% of the time?
Welcome to life.
What was that?
Welcome to life.
Yes, welcome to life, exactly. Is that something that should be an expectation? I think for some, maybe that is. For some of us, we understand that we live in a free society, and we have certain rights. And those rights, as written in our Declaration, are to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, you'll notice that it is the right to life, the right to liberty or freedom, the right to be able to pursue happiness. But there's nothing in there that refers to the right of guaranteeing happiness and guaranteeing that nothing will go wrong. So that brings us to the point of what is the purpose of government? Another question I'd like us to think about as we take a look at this story. Is it the purpose of government to make sure that there is a balance of the protection of the rights that we all have, the rights of the majority as well as the rights of the minority. You know, there's an old cartoon that I saw for a homeowners association, and it was called the Sierra Nevada Homeowners Association. And you look at it, they were having an annual meeting, and you take a look at everybody in the crowd. Everybody in the crowd was a coyote. Everybody on the board was a coyote. One person person in the audience at the front was not a coyote. It was a lamb. And they said, before we adjourn, we have one more vote to take, and that is, what are we going to have for supper tonight after the meeting adjourns? And you got the clear idea that, yes, you can have a majority, and a majority, we have an understanding that the majority will rule, right? And that's not unreasonable. That's how elections are won. That's why we have the people that we do in office, because a majority of the people say we prefer this person over that. We prefer to have this law in place over that. And so we have an understanding of the majority rules. But it's also balanced with the idea of the minority, too. In that particular case, the minority lamb's right to life and liberty was going to be at stake in that cartoon. And so government needs to take a look at protecting our rights. And I'm wondering, are we mixing up this idea of what's unfair versus what is unfortunate? What's happened to these 30 people who are going to, it looks like, lose their homes because 90% of this condominium association cannot be filled, it appears, with other people. What do you think? Do you think this is unfair or unfortunate? Well, I tell you what, we need to take a break right now, so let's do that, and we'll explore this more after these messages.